Hi, welcome to another Witch Doctors How To, where we show you how to do it yourself so you can save yourself some money. Today we're going to talk about Victory's LED headlight. This is the new style headlight they came out with for cross bikes, cruisers, crossroads, all the bikes that take the bullet style headlight. You can see the style of it with the LEDs that are in there compared to a stock headlight. So you can see it's quite a bit different. It's kind of cool looking. It's actually very stylish over the other headlight. You wouldn't think a headlight makes a big difference, but it is very stylish over it. The LEDs take less power to use. They are brighter. I've ridden it myself with this headlight. The light is definitely brighter. It's almost like a crisper, whiter type light, if you can kind of picture that. The guys on the forums and on Facebook and all, they definitely say this is a lot brighter. Everybody has their opinion, but generally it's much brighter is what they say over the HID and a lot brighter over the stock headlight. So it's a safety thing. You can see better and people can see you. So it's pretty easy to put in. You know, you have to take, on the stock light, you have your mounting bracket. You have to take that mounting bracket off and you have to put it on this headlight, on the LED. You can see it has cooling fins on it so it doesn't run hot. It just simply plugs in. There's no splicing, no cutting, nothing like that. It plugs right in. We'll show you how to do that on the bike. But this is the LED light. They come in chrome or black. We carry them on the website, witchdoctors.com. So let's go over to the bike and we'll show you how to put one of these in. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is pull out the headlight bezel. Pretty easy. We have a video on how to do it, but just grab behind there and just pull straight forward. Don't tip it down. Just kind of get it going all the way around and just pull it right off. It pushes in with those spring clips, so that's pretty easy. Then you want to use a 5mm socket, and you have 4 Allen head bolts in here. And one thing you do, we cover the front fender. Make sure you cover your fender just in case you drop anything, you don't scratch it. And watch, when you take that last bolt out, the light can kind of fall forward, so kind of hold it there. Just pull the light out, okay? Now, on this particular light, this is an HID setup, so we're going to have to show you something a little different. If you don't have the HID, you have 2 bulbs that look like this. These little wings on the side here, you just kind of pull, and you pull the connector out, off. Just pull those little wings out and pull that connector off. On this one, you have to take the bulb out, okay? Now, like I said, if you didn't have that HID, you could just pull the connector off here and you'd be all set. So one thing I'm going to show you here, and again, if you don't have the HID, you don't have to do this step, but if you get up in your light harness here, you can do it 2 different ways. You can take the fairing off so you can see a little bit better. You don't necessarily have to. What I'm going to do is right here, if you can't see these wires, if they're tucked up in there, you're going to have a label that says top bulb. It's hooked into your HID stuff. This is your HID harness. It's running up into a box and stuff that's tucked up under there. What I can do here real quick, because I have this off, again, you don't have to do this, but I already have this fairing off. Pull that off. Right here is your HID, okay? This is the wire here. It just runs into a harness to your HID box. So what we're just trying to do is find that wire that says top bulb. Just going to disconnect it. It's the same thing. You just pull these little wings out. It's a little bit tough to do because you have to do them kind of at the same time. And you disconnect it. Okay, this is your HID is now disconnected. You can just tuck that wire back under. So we have this plug and this plug is what our headlight goes to. The HID bulb, you have some connectors here. You can just disconnect these, and they're the same way. You just lift that little latch and pull that off. So you want to just disconnect that and take the bulb out. You don't want to leave it in there to break or something. But that's what you want to do. So I'll just pop the fairing back on so you can see. Okay, so here's our headlight wires that we're going to use. Now, like I said before, we have to take this mounting bracket off the back. It's just held on there with a couple screws. There's 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they do have a little nut on the back. They're 4mm Allen screws. So we'll go over to the bench and we'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so what you need to do is loosen the bolt and the nut. It's a 4mm Allen, okay, and the nut, I use an 8mm wrench. So you just want to get these loose. It's a lock nut, so it's going to spin hard on you the whole way. It's not like a regular nut. It doesn't really get easier. It's hard all the way. You don't need Loctite or anything when you do a lock nut, so you don't have to worry about that. And put yourself down a cloth on the bench so you don't scratch up the light. They are plastic, so they can scratch up. Okay, so that separates the bracket from the light. So we just transfer it over to the new light. One thing I'm going to show you here before I get this bracket on, if you zoom in here real close, you're going to see on the housing itself, it says high on one side and it says low on the other side. Make sure when we go to put the wires back on, you put them on the right sides. Okay, so the one wire is going to go to the low and the other one's going to go to where it says high. So make sure you look for that and you'll see that right there. That one says low. Okay, so just make sure you see what's going on there. And you just do this in the reverse order. Put the bolt in and the nut. Again, very easy to do. This whole job shouldn't take you more than a half hour to do this. If you're halfway mechanical, you should have no problems at all with this. Just tighten them up. If you want to do it with a torque wrench, the instructions tell you what torque to use. Personally, I just get them snug. Don't go crazy, don't break it. You shouldn't be tightening stuff up that tight anyway if you're going to break it. But all there is to putting the mount on. Now the one thing I'm going to show you here is up on the top, these screws. You might wonder what these big screws are. That's your headlight adjusters. You have one on each side, okay? So when the bike is in there and you need to adjust this, because it may be out of adjustment, okay? The instructions show you how to adjust a light. I'm not going to do it in this video. Basically, you back up 25 feet from the wall, you make a line on the wall, and then you kind of measure. So when you need the light to tip up or down like this, if it's too high up in the air, if it's too low, what you do is you turn these two screws. So you turn a little bit and it'll go, you know, whichever way you turn, it'll go. So that's how you change where your headlight hits on the road. So just that little tidbit helps you down the road if you ever need to adjust something. That's how you do it right there. You don't need to take the headlight out. You can leave it in the bike. I'll show you when I put it in there, but that's how you do that. So go over to the bike and we'll see how this thing bolts back in. So now it's time to put the wires on. So the one that says top bulb and it's the yellow wire, you're going to put that on the low side, okay? And you're just going to put it in there and just push that in. There you go. You'll hear it click. There you go. So now it's clicked in. So what you want to do, just reach over and turn your key on real quick. Make sure it comes on. So there's that. Flip your flip your headlight switch and make sure it flips on and off. So you know you have everything hooked up right. So once you do that, it's just real simple. Just bolt it back in. And you're basically done with changing out the headlight. And when you put these screws back in, put them all in before you tighten them all the way up. Make sure when your light goes on, you'll see these little tits here with that little hole. Make sure you're in there, because if you're not, it won't line up right. So make sure you get in that hole in the bracket in both sides, because if you don't, you could break this bracket. You could tighten it down crooked and it could snap that bracket. So just make sure that's in there. So that's it. Your headlight's in there. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to before you put the headlight ring on, you want to make sure you check it, whether you ride it, you do it measuring against the wallway, however you want to do it, make sure the headlight is aimed right. Because what you would do now is those screws that I told you about earlier that are tucked up in here, if the light was aiming too high or too low, you need to adjust those. So that's why you don't put the bezel on. Once you get that right, to put the bezel back on, all you do, you just kind of put the little feet, put them right in the slots, get them lined up, and just kind of pop it on, and there you go. And that is how to install an LED headlight on a cross-country tour. Very easy. You guys can do that yourself. Really dresses up the bike. Looks great. Again, added visibility, makes you a little safer, and you can see how good it looks. High beam, low beam. Alright, so you guys can go try that yourself and save yourself some money. Thanks for watching.